Captain Hyun-woo Park stood on the bridge of the Soul's Pride, watching the stars through the large window. The ship moved quietly through space, far from Earth. He had been doing this job for 10 years now, and he still felt nervous every time they entered the war zone. "Captain, we have a signal," said Lieutenant Bo-ram Shin from her station. "It looks like a distress call." Hyun-woo walked over to her console. The screen showed a weak signal coming from a nearby star system. The message was simple but urgent. "Help us! Ship damaged. Many wounded." "Can you tell who sent it?" Hyun-woo asked. Bo-ram worked on her computer for a few moments. "It's an Alliance ship, sir. The frigate Dawn's Light. They're badly damaged." Hyun-woo thought for a moment. Earth had strict rules about helping people in the war. They could save lives, but they could not take sides. The Alliance and the Dominion had been fighting for 15 years, and Earth stayed out of it completely. "Set course for their location," he ordered, "and send a message to Admiral Kim. Tell her we're helping a damaged ship." The Soul's Pride changed direction and moved toward the distress signal. Hyun-woo had done this many times before. His ship was one of only 20 Earth vessels allowed to work in the war zone. Their job was simple: save lives, help the wounded, and stay neutral. Back on Earth, Admiral So-jin Kim sat in her office reading reports. She was in charge of Earth's diplomatic corps, the group that managed Earth's careful position in the Galactic War. Her job was to make sure Earth helped everyone equally while never picking a side. The wall screen in her office showed news from across the galaxy. Today, the Dominion had attacked 3 Alliance worlds. Yesterday, the Alliance had destroyed a Dominion supply convoy. The war seemed to go on forever, with both sides claiming they were right. So Jin's assistant walked into the office. "Admiral, we have a report from Captain Park. He's responding to a distress call." "Alliance or Dominion?" So-jin asked. "Alliance ship, ma'am." So-jin nodded. "Make sure our medical station knows they might receive wounded soon, and remind Captain Park about the rules." The rules were clear. Earth ships could save lives and provide medical help. They could transport refugees to safe places, but they could not carry weapons, share military information, or help either side fight. These rules had kept Earth safe for 15 years. On the Soul's Pride, Hyun-woo and his crew found the damaged Alliance ship floating dead in space. Half of the ship was gone, destroyed by some powerful weapon. The other half was barely holding together. "Life signs, Bo-ram?" Hyun-woo asked. 47 beings still alive, sir. Most are badly hurt. Prepare the medical bay and get the rescue teams ready." The Soul's Pride moved close to the damaged ship. Hyun-woo's crew worked quickly to bring the survivors aboard. Most were Alliance soldiers, but there were also civilians, families who had been running from the war. Among the survivors was a man who looked familiar to Hyun-woo. He was tall and had the same dark hair as most humans. When the medical team brought him to the bridge, Hyun-woo recognized him. "Tae-young Lee," Hyun-woo said quietly. The wounded man looked up with tired eyes. "Hello, Hyun-woo. It's been a long time." Tae-young Lee had grown up on Earth, Just like Hyunwoo, they had gone to the same military school. But 5 years ago, Tae-young had left Earth to join the Alliance military. Earth's government had not been happy about this, but they could not stop him. You're supposed to be dead, Hyunwoo said. Earth got a report that you died in battle last year. Tae-young smiled weakly. I almost did. But the Alliance needed someone who understood human technology. I've been helping them improve their ships. This was a problem. Tae-young knew many secrets about Earth's technology. If the Dominion captured him, they would learn things that could be dangerous. But Earth's rules said they had to treat all refugees the same way. We'll take you to the medical station, Hyunwoo said. Dr. Choi will take care of you. Dr. Ginny Choi ran the largest neutral medical station in the galaxy. Her station, called Haven, floated in empty space between the two main war zones. Ships from both sides brought their wounded there, and Dr. Choi's team treated everyone equally. The station was huge, with room for 50,000 patients. It had the best medical equipment in the galaxy, all provided by Earth. Dr. Choi herself was famous across the galaxy as the woman who had saved more lives than anyone else in the war. When the Soul's Pride arrived at Haven, Dr. Choi was waiting. She was a small woman with kind eyes, but Hyunwoo knew she was also very strong. Running a neutral station in the middle of a war required great courage. How many wounded? Dr. Choi asked, as Hyunwoo's crew brought the survivors aboard. 47, mostly Alliance soldiers, Hyunwoo replied, but we have a special case. Tae-young Lee is among them. Dr. Choi's face showed concern. The human who joined the Alliance? This could cause problems. I know. What should we do? Dr. Choi thought for a moment. We treat him like any other patient. That's what we do here. Haven was always busy. The medical station treated soldiers from both sides of the war, refugees running from battles, and civilians caught in the fighting. The doctors and nurses came from many different species, all working together to save lives. Hyunwoo walked through the station's main corridor. He saw Dominion soldiers in beds next to Alliance fighters. None of them seemed to care about the war while they were here. They were all just people trying to heal. In the children's ward, Dr. Choi was teaching young refugees from different species how to defend themselves. She showed them simple moves that could help them escape danger. The children laughed as they practiced, forgetting for a moment that their worlds had been destroyed by war. Why do you do this? Hyunwoo asked Dr. Choi later. You could be safe on Earth, but you choose to stay here. Dr. Choi looked out at the stars through a window. Because this is where people need help. Earth is safe, but out here, every life we save matters. Hyunwoo understood. This was why Earth stayed neutral. Not because they didn't care about the war, but because they cared about everyone equally. Earth had become known as the sanctuary world, the place where anyone could find help, no matter which side they fought for. As the Soul's Pride prepared to leave Haven, Hyunwoo received a message from Admiral Kim. New orders, Captain. We've received reports of unusual activity in the Outer Rim. A new group has appeared, and they're not part of either the Alliance or the Dominion. Hyunwoo frowned. What kind of group? We don't know yet. But they've attacked several civilian colonies. We need you to investigate. Before leaving, Hyun-woo visited Tae-young in the medical bay. His old friend was getting better, but his eyes looked worried. There's something you should know, Tae-young said quietly. The Alliance has been hearing rumors about a third faction in the war. They call themselves the Hegemony. They're different from the Dominion and Alliance. Different how? They don't want to control the galaxy. They want to clean it. They think most species are inferior and should be eliminated. Hyun-woo felt a cold feeling in his stomach. What does that mean for Earth? Tae-young looked away. I don't know, but if the rumors are true, they won't care about Earth's neutrality. They'll see our help for refugees as protecting inferior species. As the Soul's Pride left Haven, Hyun-woo thought about Tae-young's words. For 15 years, Earth's neutrality had kept them safe. They had built a reputation as the galaxy's peacemakers, the ones who helped everyone equally. But what if there was an enemy that didn't want peace? What if there was a force that saw Earth's kindness as weakness? The stars looked different to Hyun-woo as his ship moved toward the outer rim. For the first time in years, he wondered if Earth's peaceful approach would be enough to protect the people they had sworn to help. Captain Do-hyun Nam had always loved exploring space. His ship, the Busan Explorer, was not meant for war. It was built to find new worlds and study strange stars. But now, flying through the outer rim territories, Do-hyun felt afraid. The war had spread to these distant places. What used to be peaceful colonies were now battlefields. Empty space that once held trading ships now had floating wreckage everywhere. Captain, I'm picking up something strange, said Ha-eun-yoon from her station. She was the ship's language expert, able to talk to any species they met. There's a signal coming from the Kepler colony. Do-hyun knew about Kepler colony. It was a small farming world where different species lived together peacefully. They grew food that was sent all across the galaxy. The colony had always stayed out of the war. What kind of signal? Do-hyun asked. Ha-eun worked on her computer, trying to understand the message. Her face became pale. It's not a distress call, sir. It's a broadcast. Someone is announcing that they have cleansed the colony. Do-hyun felt his stomach drop. Set course for Kepler colony. Maximum speed. The Busan Explorer raced through space toward the farming world. Do-hyun's crew was nervous. They were explorers, not soldiers. Their ship had no weapons except for small tools used to break up dangerous asteroids. When they arrived at Kepler colony, Do-hyun saw something that would stay in his nightmares forever. The planet looked normal from space, but when they got closer, they realized the truth. There was no life left anywhere. Scan for survivors, Do-hyun ordered, though he already knew what they would find. No life signs, Captain, reported engineer Min-ho Kang. But, sir, this is strange. There are no bodies either, no remains of any kind. Ha-eun was listening to the broadcast that was still playing from the planet. Captain, you need to hear this. She put the message on the main speakers. The voice that came out was cold and mechanical. It spoke in perfect universal standard, the language used for trade across the galaxy. This world has been cleansed of inferior genetic material. The species that lived here were weak and corrupt. They mixed their bloodlines and created impure offspring. Such corruption cannot be allowed to spread, the voice continued. We are the hegemony. We bring purity to the galaxy. Only the strong and genetically pure deserve to live. All others must be eliminated. Do-Hyun and his crew listened in horror as the broadcast explained how the hegemony had used special weapons to dissolve all organic matter on the planet. Every person, animal, and plant had been turned to dust in minutes. They killed everyone, whispered young Lieutenant Soo-Jin Park. Even the children. Ha-Yun continued translating as the broadcast went on. The hegemony knows about the world called Earth. We know you harbor genetic defects and protect inferior species. You call this neutrality, but we call it weakness. Soon we will test your commitment to protecting the unworthy. Do-Hyun immediately sent a message to Earth. Admiral Kim needed to know about this new threat. While they waited for a response, they searched the dead planet for any clue about what had happened. The colony's cities were empty, but undamaged. Buildings stood perfectly, but there was no sign that anyone had ever lived there. The hegemony's weapons had erased all organic life without harming anything else. Back on Earth, President Sang-Ho Kang sat in an emergency meeting with his advisors. Admiral Kim had just finished explaining what Captain Nam had found. How many people lived on Kepler Colony? The president asked. 2 million beings from 12 different species, Admiral Kim replied. They were all farmers and their families. No military targets, no weapons factories, just people growing food. Defense Minister Ye Jin-ko spoke up. Sir, we need to upgrade our planetary defenses immediately. Our current systems are designed to stop asteroids and space debris, not military attacks. President Kang looked tired. For 30 years he had worked to keep Earth peaceful. The planet had not seen war in over 2 centuries. Now an enemy was threatening them simply because they helped refugees. What do we know about this hegemony? He asked. Intelligence Director Woo Bin Han opened his tablet. Very little, sir. They appeared about 6 months ago in the far outer rim. They don't seem to want territory or resources. They just want to eliminate what they call genetically inferior species. And they consider humans inferior? Not exactly, sir. They seem to think we're genetically pure enough to live, but they hate that we protect and help other species. They see our refugee programs as corruption. Admiral Kim stood up. Mr. President, we have 3 million refugees currently on Earth and our orbital stations. If this hegemony attacks, they won't just be targeting humans. They'll be trying to kill everyone we've promised to protect. The meeting was interrupted by an urgent message from the Outer Rim. Captain Nam was reporting that long-range sensors had detected a large fleet moving toward the inner systems. The ships were of unknown design, but they were moving in perfect formation toward the core worlds. Minister Ko pulled up a display showing the galaxy. Red dots showed where hegemony attacks had been reported. Look at the pattern. They're not attacking military targets. They're hitting refugee camps, mixed, colonies, and medical stations. They're targeting anyone who helps different species work together. President Kang studied the map. How long before they reach Earth? At their current speed, 2 weeks, sir. The president made his decision. Send messages to all our ships and stations. Tell them to return to Earth immediately. And Minister Ko, I want you to start converting our orbital platforms for defense. Minister Ko nodded. Sir, we can upgrade the asteroid deflection systems to work against ships. It won't be much, but it's better than nothing. Meanwhile, on Haven Medical Station, Dr. Jin-A Choi was treating more refugees than ever. Word of the hegemony's attacks had spread across the galaxy, and thousands of beings were fleeing to neutral space. The station was overcrowded. Beds filled the corridors, and Dr. Choi's staff worked around the clock. Many of the refugees were from the species the hegemony considered inferior, the disabled, the elderly, and mixed species families. Doctor, we can't take any more patients, said Nurse Young-Mi Lee. We're at 3 times our normal capacity. Dr. Choi looked around at the crowded medical bay. A young girl from the destroyed farming world of Kepler was sleeping in a bed next to an elderly Dominion soldier. Neither of them had anywhere else to go. We'll make room, Dr. Choi said. Convert the storage areas into temporary wards. We don't turn anyone away. Captain Hyun Woo arrived at Haven with another group of refugees. His ship was also overcrowded with families sleeping in the cargo holds. He found Dr. Choi in her office looking at reports from across the galaxy. It's getting worse, Dr. Choi said without looking up. The hegemony has destroyed 17 colonies in the past month. Always the same pattern. Complete elimination of all organic life. Have you heard from Earth? Hyun-Woo asked. Yes. They want all Earth ships to return home immediately. But I can't leave these people. Hyun-Woo understood. Haven had become more than just a medical station. It was a symbol of hope for millions of beings who had nowhere else to go. If Dr. Choi abandoned it, she would be abandoning everyone who believed in Earth's promise of protection. There's something else, Dr. Choi said quietly. I've been analyzing the hegemony's weapons. They don't just kill, they erase. No DNA, no cellular structure, no way to identify who died. It's like they want to remove all evidence that these species ever existed. A communication alert interrupted their conversation. The main screen showed an incoming message marked with the hegemony's symbol. A perfect circle with no breaks or variations. Attention, medical station, the mechanical voice said. You harbor genetic corruption. You treat inferior species as equals to your betters. This is unacceptable. Dr. Choi and Hyun-Woo watched in silence as the message continued. You will cease all medical treatment of impure beings immediately. You will surrender all refugees for proper disposal. You have 48 hours to comply. The screen went dark, leaving Dr. Choi and Hyun-Woo staring at their reflection. They want us to hand over our patients, Dr. Choi said slowly. Everyone we've saved. Everyone who trusted us to protect them. Hyun-Woo felt anger burning in his chest. What will you do? Dr. Choi stood up and walked to the window overlooking the medical bays. Thousands of beings from dozens of species filled the station, all of them looking to Earth for protection. I'm going to do what I've always done, she said firmly. I'm going to save lives. Back on Earth, Minister Ko worked frantically to upgrade the planet's defenses. She had the best engineers in human space working on converting peaceful orbital platforms into weapons of war. But she knew it wouldn't be enough. "How long will it take?" President Kang asked during his daily briefing. "We can have basic defensive systems online in 10 days, Ko replied. "But, sir, we're not warriors. We've spent 2 centuries building tools for peace, not war." Admiral Kim received reports from across the galaxy. The hegemony fleet was moving steadily toward Earth. Other species were evacuating their core worlds. But Earth had nowhere to run. "Sir," Admiral Kim said to the President, "maybe we should consider evacuation. We could move the government and essential personnel to the outer colonies." The hegemony fleet arrived at Earth like a storm made of metal and death. Commander Wu Jin Han watched from Luna Defense Command as 300 alien ships took positions around Earth's solar system. They moved with perfect coordination, surrounding the planet without firing a single shot. "Sir, they're not attacking," reported Lieutenant Myung-Soo Bae from his scanner station. "They're just waiting." Commander Han had spent 20 years protecting Earth's space, but he had never seen anything like this. The hegemony ships were massive, each one larger than Earth's biggest space station. They floated in space like sleeping giants, dark and silent. "Any communication from them?" Han asked. "Nothing yet, sir. But they're jamming all our long-range signals. No messages are getting in or out of the system." On Earth's surface, President Sang-Ho Kang stood in the emergency command center deep underground. The room was filled with screens showing the alien fleet from every angle. General Dongwoo Ryu stood beside him, looking grim. "How long can our defenses hold against them?" the President asked. "Honestly, sir? Maybe an hour," General Ryu replied. "We've upgraded what we could, but these ships are built for war. Ours are not." Dr. Sunmi Jang entered the command center, still wearing her medical uniform. She had been working in the refugee camps when the fleet arrived. "Mr. President, what about the refugees? We have 3 million beings depending on us for protection." President Kang looked at the screens showing the alien ships. "We protect them. That's what we do." Suddenly, every screen in the command center changed. A face appeared, if it could be called a face. The being on the screen looked like a mixture of metal and flesh, with cold blue lights where eyes should be. "I am Krivax Supreme, leader of the hegemony," the creature said. Its voice was mechanical, but somehow still threatening. "We have come to test your resolve, humans of Earth." President Kang stepped forward. "This is President Kang. Why have you brought a war fleet to our peaceful system?" "Peaceful?" Krivax laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "You harbor genetic corruption. You treat inferior species as equals. You encourage the mixing of pure bloodlines with contaminated ones. This is not peace. This is poison." The alien leader continued. "We have studied your species, humans. You have potential. Your genetics are pure enough to survive our cleansing of the galaxy. But your actions show weakness that must be corrected." Dr. Jang couldn't stay quiet. "Those inferior species you talk about are people. They have families, dreams, hopes. They have genetic flaws, Krivax replied coldly. Weakness in the body, weakness in the mind. They slow down evolution and corrupt the strong. This cannot be allowed. President Kang felt sick, but he kept his voice steady. What do you want from us? Simple. Surrender all refugees currently on Earth and its stations. We will dispose of them cleanly. In return, humanity will be allowed to join our cleansing crusade. You will help us purify the galaxy. The command center fell silent. Everyone stared at the alien on the screen. And if we refuse? President Kang asked. Then we will demonstrate the price of protecting genetic corruption. The screen went dark, leaving the humans alone with an impossible choice. Dr. Jiang broke the silence first. We can't do it. We can't hand over innocent people to be murdered. If we don't, they'll destroy us all, General Ryu said quietly. And then they'll kill the refugees anyway. President Kang looked around the room at his advisors. How long do we have? 48 hours, came the reply from the communications. Officer! Far from Earth, Dr. Jin Choi was facing her own impossible situation. The hegemony had given Haven Medical Station the same ultimatum. Surrender the refugees or face destruction. The station was still overcrowded with beings fleeing from the hegemony's attacks. Families huddled together in the corridors, not understanding why anyone would want to hurt them for being different. Doctor, Nurse Youngmi Lee approached her in the children's ward. Some of the adult refugees are saying we should surrender them to save the children. Dr. Choi looked at the young beings from dozens of species playing together. They had lost their homes, their families, everything. Haven was the only safe place they knew. No one gets surrendered, Dr. Choi said firmly. That's not who we are, Captain. Hyun-woo found Dr. Choi in her office later that day. She was writing in her personal journal, something she did every night before sleep. What are you writing? He asked. A message for my sister back on Earth, Dr. Choi replied. In case we don't make it through this. Hyun-woo sat down across from her. You could evacuate. Take your staff and leave before the deadline. And abandon everyone who trusted us? Dr. Choi shook her head. These people came here because they believed Earth's promise of protection. If I run now, that promise means nothing. It won't mean anything if you're dead either. Dr. Choi looked out at the medical bays through her office window. Maybe. But at least they'll know someone tried to keep the promise. Back on Earth, the debate continued in the Emergency Council. Admiral Kim had returned from her diplomatic duties to help with the crisis. Sir, I've been thinking about this, Admiral Kim said to the President. The hegemony could have destroyed us as soon as they arrived. Instead, they're offering us a choice. Why? Intelligence Director Woo Bin Han pulled up a star map. I think I know. Look at this pattern of their attacks. They're not just randomly destroying worlds. They're sending a message to the galaxy. The map showed dozens of destroyed colonies, all marked in red. They want other species to see what happens when you don't cooperate. If Earth surrenders the refugees, it proves that even the sanctuary world will abandon people when threatened. And if we refuse? Minister Ko asked. Then they destroy us as an example of what happens to those who protect the inferior. President Kang understood. Either way, we lose. Either we betray everything we stand for, or we die for it. General Ryu spoke up. Sir, there might be a third option. We could try to evacuate some of the refugees to other systems before the deadline. Where would they go? Dr. Zhang asked. Every neutral world is too afraid to take them. The Alliance and Dominion are too busy fighting each other. We're the only ones left who will help. The hours passed slowly. Reports came in from across Earth's orbital stations. Refugee families were holding each other close, not understanding why anyone would want to hurt them. Some asked if they should leave to protect the humans who had helped them. On Luna Defense Command, Lieutenant Bay watched the hegemony ships through his scanners. Sir, they're not just waiting, they're studying us, scanning our defenses, our cities, everything. Commander Han nodded grimly. They're planning their attack. They already know we're going to refuse. With 12 hours left until the deadline, President Kang made his final decision. He stood before the United Earth Council, representatives from every nation and orbital colony. The hegemony has demanded we surrender 3 million innocent beings to be murdered, he said. They promise to spare humanity if we cooperate. But I ask you, what kind of humanity would we be if we bought our lives with the blood of those who trusted us? The vote was unanimous. Earth would not surrender the refugees. The decision was broadcast across the solar system. In the refugee camps, beings from dozens of species wept with relief and terror. They would not be abandoned, but they might all die together. Dr. Choi received the message on Haven Station. She gathered her staff and the refugee leaders in the main meeting room. Earth has made its choice, she announced. They will not surrender anyone. We stand together. An elderly being from one of the destroyed farming worlds stood up slowly. Doctor, you could still save yourselves. Why are you staying with us? Dr. Choi thought of all the beings she had treated over the years. Soldiers from both sides of the war, refugees fleeing violence, children who had lost everything. Because 15 years ago, Earth made a promise. We said we would help anyone who needed it, no matter who they were or where they came from. Today we prove that promise was real. The deadline passed in silence. The hegemony ships remained motionless around Earth for 6 more hours. Then, without warning, they acted, but they didn't attack Earth. Instead, they targeted Haven Medical Station. The assault was swift and merciless. Hegemony ships surrounded the station and opened fire with their dissolving weapons. Dr. Choi had just enough time to send one final message to Earth before the station's communication array was destroyed. "Tell them we kept the promise," she said into the recording device. "Tell them it mattered." Lieutenant Bay watched in horror from his post near Earth as Haven Station simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not broken apart, just gone. 50,000 beings, including Dr. Jin-A Choi, turned to nothing in seconds. The hegemony broadcast the destruction across the galaxy. The message was clear. This is what happens to those who protect the weak. But for the first time in 15 years, something changed in humanity. The galaxy had seen Earth as peaceful, neutral, kind. Now they saw something different in human eyes. They saw anger. President Kang stood before the cameras that would broadcast his words across Earth and to every human ship in space. His voice was quiet, but there was something new in it, something cold and determined. The destruction of Haven Medical Station changed everything. For the first time in 200 years, Earth activated Article 7 of the Terra Accords, Total War Authorization. What the galaxy didn't know was that humanity had been preparing for this moment longer than anyone imagined. General Dongwu Ryu stood in a command center that most people didn't know existed. Hidden deep inside an asteroid in Earth's belt, the facility had been built in secret over decades. Around him, screens showed the true scope of humanity's hidden preparations. "Sir, all conversion protocols are active," reported Chief Engineer Kyung-mi Seo. Civilian infrastructure is switching to military production. What looked like peaceful mining operations throughout the solar system were transforming. Asteroid processing plants that harvested raw materials were retooling to build weapons. Orbital shipyards that made cargo vessels were now constructing warships. Even the agricultural stations were being converted to produce military supplies. "How long until the first ships are ready?" General Ryu asked. 72 hours for the first squadron," Engineer Seo replied. "Full production capacity in 2 weeks." The hegemony had made a crucial mistake. They thought Earth was defenseless because humanity appeared peaceful. They didn't understand that humans had learned from watching the Galactic War for 15 years. They had studied every battle, every weapon, every tactic used by both sides. Captain Jamin O walked through the construction bay where his new ship was taking shape. The vessel didn't look like anything else in the galaxy. While other species built ships like flying fortresses, humans had designed theirs like hunting animals. "She's beautiful," said Lieutenant Yoon-soo Kim, who would serve as his weapons officer. The ship was sleek and dark, built for speed and stealth rather than heavy armor. Its weapons were designed to strike fast and disappear before the enemy could respond. Most importantly, it could adapt, changing its tactics based on what it learned from each battle. "What's her name?" Lieutenant Kim asked. "Jin-A's Revenge," Captain O replied quietly. Across the solar system, similar ships were being built at an incredible pace. Earth's industrial capacity, built up over centuries of peaceful development, was now focused on a single goal: making the hegemony pay for what they had done. Minister Ye-jin Ko coordinated the massive conversion effort from Earth's surface. She had been upgrading planetary defenses when the crisis began, but now she was overseeing something much larger. "Status report," she requested from her staff. "Asteroid Mining Fleet Alpha is now producing military-grade hull plating," reported one engineer. "Orbital Platform 7 has switched from food production to weapon manufacturing. The outer ring shipyards are building escort fighters." Ko smiled grimly. The hegemony thought they were fighting farmers and diplomats. They were about to discover they had attacked the galaxy's most advanced industrial civilization. Lieutenant Myung-soo Bae watched the hegemony fleet from Luna Defense Command. The alien ships still surrounded Earth, waiting to see if humanity would surrender after witnessing Haven's destruction. They had no idea what was happening in the shadows. "Sir, I'm detecting unusual activity in the asteroid belt," Bay reported to Commander Han. "What kind of activity?" "Energy signatures that weren't there before. Lots of them." Commander Han studied the readings. "Keep monitoring, but don't transmit anything. Let them wonder what we're doing." The first sign that something had changed came 3 days after Haven's destruction. A hegemony patrol ship investigating the outer solar system simply disappeared. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. Krivak Supreme received the report in his flagship. "What do you mean, disappeared?" "The ship stopped transmitting, Supreme One," his subordinate explained. "When we sent another patrol to investigate, they found only debris." "Show me." The holographic display showed scattered pieces of the patrol ship floating in space. But something was wrong. The debris pattern didn't match any known weapon damage. "This looks like surgery," Krivak said slowly. The ship was taken apart piece by piece. More patrols disappeared over the following days. Each time, the hegemony found only carefully dismantled wreckage. It was as if something was studying their ships, learning how they worked, taking them apart to understand their technology. Captain Mi Young Lim led the special operations team responsible for these early strikes. Her ships were small and fast, designed to approach enemy vessels without being detected. Instead of destroying hegemony ships, they captured them. "Remember, we want them intact," she told her boarding teams. "Every piece of technology we capture makes us stronger." The human boarding parties moved through captured hegemony ships with brutal efficiency. They weren't just soldiers. They were engineers, scientists, and technicians who understood how to reverse engineer alien technology in real time. "This is fascinating," said Dr. Sung Ho Yu as he examined a captured hegemony weapon. "Their dissolving technology uses quantum disruption to break molecular bonds. But if we reverse the process..." Within hours, human scientists had turned the hegemony's own weapons against them. Ships that were designed to erase organic matter were modified to disable hegemony technology instead. The aliens began to realize they were fighting an enemy unlike any they had encountered. Other species in the galaxy fought the same way for centuries, using proven tactics and established strategies. Humans learned and adapted from every encounter. Commander He Jin An ran the Tactical Analysis Division from a hidden base on one of Jupiter's moons. Her team included former refugees who understood their species' military doctrines and could predict enemy behavior. "The hegemony fights in rigid formations," explained one analyst. "They rely on overwhelming firepower and perfect coordination. They don't adapt well to unexpected tactics." "Then we give them tactics they've never seen," Commander An replied. Human ships began appearing in impossible places. They used gravity wells to slingshot around planets at incredible speeds. They hid inside asteroid fields and struck without warning. They even used the solar wind to mask their approach to enemy vessels. The hegemony had never fought an enemy that treated space itself as a weapon. 2 weeks after Haven's destruction, Admiral So Jin Kim stood on the bridge of humanity's new flagship. The ship was massive, but moved like a smaller vessel, its experimental engines allowing it to accelerate faster than anything in the galaxy. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender offers from the Hegemony Outer Fleet," reported the communications officer. "Surrender offers?" Admiral Kim was surprised. "Yes, ma'am. Several Hegemony commanders are asking for terms. They say they've never fought an enemy like us." Admiral Kim thought of Dr. Choi and the 50,000 beings who had died on Haven Station. "Tell them we don't accept surrenders from murderers. They wanted to test our resolve, now they get to see it." The human counterattack wasn't just about defeating the hegemony. It was about making sure the galaxy understood that Earth's protection meant something. Every refugee who had ever trusted humanity was being avenged. Captain Hyunwoo Park, who had witnessed Haven's destruction, now commanded one of the new human warships. His vessel was equipped with weapons that could disable enemy ships without destroying them, allowing human teams to board and capture valuable intelligence. "Target their command ship," he ordered. "We're going to have a conversation with Krivax, Supreme." The attack on the Hegemony flagship was swift and surgical. Human ships struck from multiple directions simultaneously, each one targeting specific systems to disable the massive vessel without killing the crew. When human boarding teams reached the bridge, they found Krivax Supreme cowering behind his command chair. The being who had seemed so threatening on the communication screens now looked small and afraid. "You cannot do this," Krivax said in his mechanical voice. "We are the superior species. We are the ones who cleanse the galaxy of weakness." "Captain." Park removed his helmet and looked directly at the alien leader. "You killed Dr. Jin-A Choi. She saved more lives than you've ever seen, and you murdered her for helping people." "She was protecting genetic corruption." "She was protecting children," Park replied coldly. "And now you're going to help us save the ones you haven't killed yet." The capture of Krivax Supreme and his command ship sent shockwaves through the Hegemony fleet. For the first time in their crusade, they faced an enemy that was not only defeating them, but capturing their leaders alive. From the Hegemony databases, humans learned the full scope of their enemies' plans. The aliens hadn't just wanted to eliminate inferior species. They planned to replace all organic life in the galaxy with artificial constructs controlled by hegemony consciousness. "They want to turn the entire galaxy into machines," Dr. Yu explained to the command staff. "Every living being would be converted or destroyed." General Ryu studied the intelligence reports. "How many worlds have they already attacked?" "Hundreds, sir." "But we also found something else, lists of their planned targets." Earth was just the beginning. The lists showed that the hegemony intended to eliminate every species that helped others, every world that provided refuge, every civilization that showed what they called weakness by caring for those different from themselves. 6 months after entering the war, humanity had become the most feared force in the galaxy. Admiral Jong-Suk Park, Hyun-Woo's older brother, commanded the human expeditionary fleet from the bridge of the massive warship Earth's Promise. The fleet had grown from Earth's handful of diplomatic vessels to a force that made both the Alliance and Dominion rethink their own military capabilities. "Admiral, we have reports from the Outer Rim campaign. said his communications officer, Lieutenant Daeyeon Song. The hegemony has abandoned 12 more systems, rather than face our forces. Admiral Park studied the tactical display showing human fleets across the galaxy. Red dots marked former hegemony strongholds that had been liberated. Blue dots showed ongoing operations. The map told an incredible story. In just 6 months, humans had pushed the hegemony back across a third of their territory. "What makes us so effective?" asked Captain Yeon-woo Choi, one of the newer ship commanders who had joined the fleet from civilian service. Commander Hye-jin An, who ran the Tactical Analysis Division, answered from her station. "We learn faster than anyone else. While other species perfect one way of fighting, we study every battle and immediately apply what we learn." This was the key to human success. Every time they fought the hegemony, human commanders recorded everything: enemy tactics, weapon effectiveness, ship vulnerabilities, communication patterns. Within hours, this information was shared with every human ship in the fleet. Dr. Seung-ho Yu had developed cybernetic enhancements specifically for human commanders. While alien captains struggled to manage their single ships, human commanders could control entire squadrons as if they were extensions of their own minds. The neural interfaces let us process multiple data streams simultaneously, Dr. Yu explained to a group of new officers. You can monitor your ship's systems, track enemy movements, coordinate with other vessels, and analyze tactical data all at the same time. The enhancements were voluntary, but most human commanders chose to get them. The advantage was too great to ignore. Captain Jamin Oh, who now commanded a squadron of 20 ships, could control his entire force with thought speed, precision. Enemy formation approaching from Sector 7, his tactical officer reported. Captain O didn't need to give verbal orders. Through his neural link, he directed his ships to surround the enemy force while simultaneously coordinating with 3 other squadrons for a combined attack. The entire maneuver took less than 5 minutes. The hegemony commander watching the battle was confused. How do they coordinate so perfectly? There are no communication signals between their ships. What the aliens didn't understand was that humans had turned war into a science. Every engagement was studied, every tactic was tested, every weakness was exploited. The human military had become a learning machine that grew stronger with every battle. Lieutenant Myung-soo Bae, now promoted to captain, led a special task force that specialized in capturing hegemony technology. His teams didn't just salvage enemy equipment, they improved it and turned it against its creators. "This is remarkable," said Chief Engineer Min-ah Seo as she examined a captured hegemony energy weapon. "Their power systems are incredibly efficient, but they have no redundancy. If we modify the power flow..." Within days, human ships were equipped with improved versions of hegemony weapons. But the humans didn't stop there. They combined alien technology with human innovation to create entirely new types of weapons. The most shocking moment came when humans captured a hegemony command ship and discovered the aliens' true plan. Captain Mi-young Lim led the boarding team that found the strategic database. "Admiral Park, you need to see this," she transmitted from the captured vessel. The database contained detailed plans for the complete elimination of biological life in the galaxy. The hegemony didn't just want to kill inferior species. They wanted to replace all organic life with artificial constructs controlled by their consciousness. They want to turn the entire galaxy into machines, Dr. Yu said in horror as he reviewed the plans. Every living being would be converted into a digital copy under hegemony control. Admiral Park shared this information with both the Alliance and the Dominion. For the first time in 15 years, the two warring factions agreed to work together. The threat was too great for continued fighting between organic species. "This changes everything," said Alliance Admiral Ko-un Jang during a joint strategy meeting. "We've been fighting each other while the real enemy planned to eliminate all of us." Dominion Admiral Hyunju Baek nodded in agreement. "Our political differences mean nothing if there are no organic beings left to have politics. But even working together, the combined Alliance Dominion fleet couldn't match human effectiveness." Captain Sang-Woo Lee, who served as a liaison between the human fleet and the Alliance, tried to explain why. "It's not that we're better fighters," he told the alien commanders. "It's that we fight differently. We adapt, we learn, we change our tactics based on what works. Most species develop one way of fighting and stick with it for centuries." The aliens were amazed by human flexibility. In one battle, they watched human ships use asteroid fields as weapons, launching rocks at enemy vessels with devastating precision. In the next battle, humans used solar radiation to mask their approach, appearing from the direction of a star where sensors couldn't detect them. "They use everything as a weapon," observed one Alliance tactical officer. "Space itself becomes part of their arsenal." Captain Do-hyun Nam, whose exploration ship had first discovered the hegemony's attack on Kepler Colony, now commanded a fleet of converted exploration vessels. These ships specialized in hit-and-run attacks, striking hegemony supply lines and disappearing before reinforcements could arrive. "The key is unpredictability," he explained to his squadron commanders. "The hegemony expects military targets, so we hit their logistics. They prepare for direct assault, so we attack from unexpected angles." Human tactics became so effective that hegemony forces began abandoning entire star systems rather than face Earth's fleets. Word spread across the galaxy that fighting humans was different from fighting anyone else. "They don't just want to defeat you," one captured hegemony officer told his interrogators. "They want to understand you completely, then use that understanding to destroy you more efficiently." The psychological effect was devastating. Hegemony forces that had seemed unstoppable just months earlier now fled at the first sign of human ships. Their rigid command structure couldn't adapt to fighting an enemy that learned and changed faster than they could respond. Commander Woo Jin Han, now in charge of defensive operations around Earth, received reports of hegemony retreats across multiple sectors. "They're not just losing battles," he told President Kang. "They're losing the will to fight." But the humans weren't satisfied with just defeating the hegemony militarily. They wanted to rescue the billions of organic beings the aliens held as slaves and experimental subjects. Captain In-ho Baek led specialized rescue operations using captured hegemony ships to infiltrate enemy installations. His teams included former refugees who understood the layout of alien facilities and could communicate with imprisoned beings. "Remember, we're not here to destroy," Captain Back told his troops before a mission. "We're here to save lives. Every being we rescue is a victory against everything the hegemony represents." These rescue missions revealed the full horror of the hegemony's operations. Entire populations had been enslaved, forced to work in factories producing weapons for the alien fleet. Others were used in experiments designed to find ways to convert organic consciousness into digital form. Dr. Sunmi Jang, who had escaped from Earth when the crisis began, now worked to treat rescued beings on hospital ships following the human fleet. "The psychological trauma is severe," she reported. "Many of these beings have been enslaved for years, told constantly that they are inferior and worthless. The treatment of rescued beings became another way humans differed from other species. While most military forces would simply drop off rescued civilians at safe worlds, humans established mobile medical and rehabilitation facilities that traveled with their fleets. "We don't just rescue them," explained Admiral Park. "We heal them, help them recover their dignity, and give them the choice of where to go next." Many rescued beings chose to stay with the human fleet, working in non-combat roles to support the war effort. They became some of humanity's most valuable allies, providing intelligence about hegemony operations and helping to rescue others of their species. As the war progressed, it became clear that humans had achieved something unprecedented in galactic history. They had united dozens of species against a common threat, but not through conquest or intimidation. They had done it by proving that some things were worth fighting for. The galaxy watched in amazement as human fleets pushed deeper into hegemony territory. These weren't professional soldiers fighting for pay or glory. They were ordinary people fighting to protect the right of all beings to live freely and help one another. Captain Hyan-Woo Park, who had started as a diplomatic officer trying to maintain neutrality, now commanded a strike force heading directly for the hegemony homeworld. The man who had once believed in peaceful solutions was preparing for the final battle of a war he had never wanted to fight. The revelation of the hegemony's true plan to eliminate all organic life had united the galaxy like never before. Admiral Sojin Kim, now Supreme Commander of the Combined Galactic Defense Force, stood on the bridge of the massive command ship. United Hope, watching the largest military alliance in recorded history prepare for the final assault. The fleet surrounding her was incredible. Alliance battleships flying alongside Dominion dreadnoughts, with human vessels coordinating the entire force. Ships from dozens of species had joined the alliance, all working together to stop the hegemony's plan to convert the galaxy into digital slavery. "Status report," Admiral Kim requested. Captain Yoon-ji Moon, the communications specialist who had uncovered many of the hegemony's secrets, answered from her station. "All fleets report ready, Admiral. 3 million ships from 47 different species, all converging on the hegemony homeworld." The scale was overwhelming, but Admiral Kim knew that numbers alone wouldn't win this battle. The hegemony homeworld was the most heavily defended planet in their territory, surrounded by automated defense platforms and protected by their most powerful fleet. Remember, Admiral Kim broadcast to all fleet commanders. "This isn't just about defeating the hegemony. We're here to rescue the billions of organic beings they've enslaved. Every life we save matters." Captain Inho Bayek led the rescue operation, planning from his specialized ship Haven's Memory, named in honor of Dr. Jin-A Choi's destroyed medical station. His mission was the most dangerous: penetrate the planet's defenses and reach the slave camps where millions of beings were held. "The orbital scans show massive industrial complexes," reported his intelligence officer. "But they're not just factories. They're prison camps where organic beings are forced to build the machines that will replace them." Captain Bayek studied the tactical data. The hegemony homeworld was a nightmare of metal and suffering, where enslaved populations worked to create their own replacements. "We get them out. All of them." The battle began with a coordinated assault from all directions. Human ships led the way, using their superior adaptability to find weaknesses in the hegemony's defenses. Alliance and Dominion forces followed, overwhelming the automated defense platforms with massive firepower. But this battle was different from all the others. As the fleet engaged the hegemony's military forces, Captain Bayek's rescue teams launched toward the planet's surface in small, fast ships designed to avoid detection. On the surface, the rescue teams found horrors beyond imagination. Entire species had been enslaved for decades, forced to work in factories producing the digital constructs that would replace them. Many had been told so often that they were inferior that they no longer believed rescue was possible. "You're free now, Captain," Bayek told a group of rescued beings from the destroyed farming worlds. "The hegemony can't hurt you anymore." An elderly being who had lost his home on Kepler Colony looked up with tears in his eyes. "The humans came for us. Even after we lost everything, you came for us." Meanwhile, in space above the planet, the largest battle in galactic history raged. The hegemony had concentrated their entire remaining fleet to defend their homeworld, but they couldn't adapt to fighting so many different species at once. "Their tactics are breaking down," observed Commander Hyojin An from her analysis station. "They're designed to fight one enemy at a time, not a coordinated alliance." Human ships darted between the larger vessels of other species, providing coordination and tactical support. Captain Jamin O's squadron worked with Alliance cruisers to disable hegemony command ships, while Captain Mi Young Lim's special forces captured enemy vessels for intelligence. The turning point came when Yoonji Moon made a crucial discovery in the captured hegemony communications. "Admiral, I found something in their data stream. Dr. Choi's medical records. They contain detailed biological information about every refugee species. That's why they killed her." Admiral Kim understood immediately. She wasn't just helping refugees. Her work was the key to developing immunity against hegemony bioweapons. The information Dr. Choi had gathered while treating patients from across the galaxy was the one thing that could stop the hegemony's plan to eliminate organic life. Her kindness and medical skill had accidentally created the galaxy's best defense against their enemies. "Get that data to all medical ships immediately," Admiral Kim ordered. "Dr. Choi saved us all, even after they killed her." Deep inside the hegemony homeworld, the final confrontation was taking shape. Captain Hyun-woo Park had fought his way to the planet's command center, where Krivax Supreme had retreated for a final stand. The alien leader had changed since his capture and escape months earlier. His metal and flesh body was now mostly mechanical, as if he was becoming the very thing he wanted to turn all organic life into. "You cannot stop the cleansing," Krivax said in his cold, mechanical voice. "Organic life is weak, flawed, corrupted. Only perfect digital consciousness can survive in the universe. Dr. Choi saved more lives than you ever saw," Hyun-woo replied, advancing slowly. "She died because she wouldn't abandon people who trusted her. That's not weakness. That's strength you'll never understand. She protected genetic corruption. She encouraged the mixing of pure bloodlines with inferior DNA. She taught refugee children how to defend themselves," Hyun-woo said, remembering the self-defense classes the doctor had run on Haven Station. Simple moves, basic techniques. She wanted them to be able to protect each other. The irony was perfect. Krivax Supreme, leader of the most technologically advanced military force in the galaxy, faced a human who had learned hand-to-hand combat. From a doctor teaching children, the fight was short and brutal. Krivax had enhanced his body with mechanical improvements, making him stronger and faster than any organic being. But Hyun-woo fought with the techniques Dr. Choi had taught to scared children. Simple, effective moves designed to help the weak overcome the strong. When Krivax fell, defeated by the improvised combat skills of a medical doctor's self-defense class, something broke in the hegemony's remaining forces. Their leader had been beaten not by advanced technology or superior firepower, but by the determination of someone fighting to protect others. Across the galaxy, hegemony forces began surrendering. The news spread quickly. Their supreme leader had been defeated in personal combat by a human using techniques learned from the very doctor they had murdered. Captain Do-hyun Nam, whose exploration ship had first discovered the hegemony's attacks, coordinated the rescue of the final slave, Camps. "We found them," he reported to Admiral Kim. 2 billion beings in the deep mining facilities. They're weak, but they're alive. The rescue operation took weeks. Human medical ships worked alongside Alliance and Dominion vessels to treat the rescued beings. Many had been enslaved for so long they had forgotten their homeworlds, but they remembered one thing: the promise that someone would come for them. Dr. Sun Mi-jong worked tirelessly in the medical ships, treating beings who had suffered years of abuse. "They all ask the same question," she told Admiral Kim. "They want to know if Earth really fought a war just to save them." "What do you tell them?" "I tell them that's what Earth does. We keep our promises." The war's end brought unexpected changes to the galaxy. The Alliance and Dominion, having fought together against the hegemony, began working to end their own conflict. Species that had been enemies for generations found common ground in their shared experience of nearly losing everything to the hegemony's vision of purity. But the biggest change was in how the galaxy saw Earth. No longer the neutral sanctuary world, humanity had become something else. The guardian species that other civilizations called when they faced threats too great to handle alone. President, Sang-Ho Kang stood in the rebuilt Haven Medical Station, now orbiting Earth as a memorial to Dr. Choi and all those who had died. The station was larger than the original, serving not just as a medical facility, but as a symbol of what the galaxy could achieve when different species worked together. "Sir, we have requests for assistance from 12 different systems," reported his aide. "Colony ships under attack, refugees fleeing conflict, a plague outbreak on a farming world." President Kang smiled. "Dispatch our ships. We have promises to keep." Captain Hyun-woo Park, now Admiral Park, commanded the expanded human diplomatic fleet. His ships carried not just medical supplies and rescue teams, but also the technology and knowledge gained from the war against the hegemony. "Admiral, incoming distress call from the Andara system," reported his communications officer. "Alliance or Dominion territory?" "Neither, sir. It's an independent world under attack by pirates." Admiral Park thought of Dr. Choi, who had treated anyone who needed help regardless of their politics or species. "Set course for Andara! Full speed!" The human diplomatic fleet had become something unique in galactic history. A military force whose primary mission was not conquest or defense, but protection of those who couldn't protect themselves. Years later, children across the galaxy learned about the war against the hegemony in their schools. They learned about the species that tried to eliminate all organic life, and about the alliance that stopped them. But most of all, they learned about the humans who proved that making something personal could change the entire scope of a conflict.